Hey, this is Darren from Property Prosperity. Today I thought I'd have a bit of a chat to you about mortgage brokers and whether you can really trust what they have to say. I suppose a lot of people are wary of anyone, to be honest, nowadays. Everyone doesn't trust anybody, so it's a crazy situation where, people want all this information, they all want all this advice, and they're willing to get on and Google and trust some random person on the other side of the world that they don't even know who they are and what their hidden objective is. But when they're talking to someone face to face, that's a local person that's dealing with these issues day in, day out, they sort of have this skepticism. They're like, oh no, I'm not sure if I can trust this person. And the first thing they do is get onto Google, look at other options just in case, Mr. Google knows more than what this real person does, essentially. So, and I suppose this is the danger that I find is it's sort of like going to a doctor and the doctor's saying, hey, it looks like you need to have your appendix removed. And you're going, well, I'm not really sure this doctor knows what they're talking about. Get on Google it. Actually, I need to get, a heart transplant. And then before you know it, you're trying to say, hey, well, I can just do this myself. I don't need a real estate agent. I don't need a doctor to do my heart transplant. I can just Google it, try and work out how to do it myself, and then it's all good. Ended up, got to find someone to give me a heart, get in there and try and work out how it's all going to happen. At the end of the day, I've got myself a new heart. Everything's fine. Before you know it, you've either died in the process or you've got a new heart when you didn't even need a new heart in the first place. You needed your appendix removed or whatever. So really bad analogy, but at the end of the day, it's you can't do everything yourself, and at some point in time you need to know that experience is valuable and knowledge and skill is valuable, and you just can't Google experience. You've got to get out there, and before you know it, you got to learn by trial and error. You got to make mistakes along the way, and the benefit of using somebody else to get some advice is that they've done it a lot of times before. You then really have to decide whether you trust that they actually know what they're talking about. So you might want to have some, ask them some questions about how long they've been doing for, what qualifications they have, are they licensed to do what they're doing. But at some point in time, you're just going to have to trust them. And the reason this is, and particularly in the world of mortgage broking, it is quite easily to Google up, cheapest interest rate for my particular loan to buy a particular property or refinance or whatever it happens to be. Focusing purely on the interest rate is not necessarily the best outcome for you. And this is where people don't really understand. Hey Prasad, thanks for joining. Hey Asli. They don't really understand, the value in having an expert. The expert there is not just necessarily to give you what you want. The expert is to ask questions, to inform you, to let you have a think about the bigger picture and say, hey, well, I understand you just want to buy this property, you want to get the lowest interest rate, but is this really the best thing for you? Firstly, just double checking you definitely want to buy that property. And then secondly, is it just about the lowest interest rate, or is it about, focusing on fees and charges and what are you planning to do with this property? Are you going to rent it out, or are you going to knock it down and develop it? Are you going to, what's the point of it? And because you don't want to find out you get stuck, down the track because you got into a loan because it was the cheapest interest rate, not realizing that, you might have wanted to do interest only, you wanted to fix the rates, or you wanted to have a redraw facility, or you wanted an offset loan, or all these different things, which it's got nothing to do with the interest rate. Also, likewise, what's the service levels of that real estate, of that finance company like, or what's their ability, what's the likelihood the loan's going to go through? It's great to say, hey, well, I've got this really cheap deal on interest rates, but if that lender is unlikely to lend you any money, then you're going to be really disappointed when you find out you can't get the money you think you're going to get. And so before you know it, you've stuffed around for 2 or 3 months, you've missed out on that property you could have purchased because your finance has fallen through, when if you got some advice from someone new from the start, they might have said to you, hey, I know that seems like a really good deal, but to be honest, I've put many loans through them before and they're a pain in the ass to deal with, and I have nothing but issues with them. I've had experiences in the past where it's been a problem where we've actually ended up the contract's fallen through because they've just stuffed around so much. So I understand this one seems like a higher interest rate, or it seems like it's got higher fees and charges, but in reality we're going to get a much better outcome because you're going to be able to buy the property you want. Or it might be it allows you to refinance down the track, so then you can pull the money out and do the next investment or the next development. So that's where experience comes in. They're not just purely focused on just getting the loan. They're focused on, okay, what are you trying to achieve out of this thing? And is this finance or this product that you're purchasing, is that going to help you achieve your long-term plan? And so That's where experience and knowledge comes in. And so you might say, hey, you've ring up a mortgage broker and you've asked him, you know, what loan shall I get? And he might say, hey, go with ANZ. And then you've checked online and then you found out there's a better deal with, you know, Commonwealth Bank. You might go, hey, well, that mortgage broker had no idea what they're talking about. The thing is, from your perspective, you're purely focused on one criteria, which might be the interest rates. There might be a whole pile of other criteria that may be really important that you won't find out until, you know, the loan falls through, or you've purchased the property and then suddenly you've realised that you've got the wrong loan and you're going to have to refinance down the track. That's going to cost you potentially thousands of dollars. So at some point in time, you're really just going to have to trust somebody. And really, if you have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in that broker that's got a lot of experience and knowledge, you're going to have to say, okay, well, if you think that's the best option for me, they're going to explain it to you why they think it's the best option. You can go off and show them the other different options and say, hey, well, I'm thinking about going with this guy. Why would I go with ANZ when CBA seems like it's got a better interest rate? Obviously, if they can't explain the logic behind why you should, then that's not so good. But you know, 9 times out of 10, if they're experienced and they're knowledgeable, they're going to say, this is the reason, and the logic should make sense. So just do it, basically. Go out there, have a chat to a mortgage broker. And the other thing I find that people do, which from my perspective seems really nuts, but I know why it would make sense from other people's perspective, is they shop around between mortgage brokers. You know, I've talked to people, they've talked to 3 or 4 different mortgage brokers. The thing to understand is mortgage brokers all log on to their own little system. It's all the same. They all got the same lenders. They've all got the same rates and fees and charges and all the rest of the stuff. So the price, whichever mortgage broker you're going to go to, they're all going to offer you the same products. What they're going to do is offer you different services as far as, you know, give you more advice or less advice depending on their level of experience and knowledge. And obviously you just might like one more than the other, and that's fine if you want to shop around to mortgage brokers because of that. But if you're shopping around to different mortgage brokers, you think one's going to get you a better deal than the other, understanding they're all dealing with the same products. They're not providing you the finance. They're just shopping you between the different lenders. So hopefully that's made sense, and why you can trust your mortgage broker if you find one you feel comfortable with. Their interest generally is in, you know, people get this weird thing. They think, oh, the mortgage broker's out there for themselves and trying to find whatever's going to give them the most amount of commission, which is crazy. At the end of the day, they're looking for a long-term relationship with you. They want to build a relationship over the long term. They're going to do the best thing by you because they want to make sure you're happy at the end of the day, because if you're not happy, you're not going to come back. And they want not one loan, they want multiple loans over many, many years. And that's when they get the benefit out of you, is that they get something called an upfront commission for signing up the loan with you, but they get something called a trail, which is basically means they get a commission from the bank going forward to continue servicing you over the years. So they want to make sure you're happy, because otherwise you'll refinance and go to another mortgage broker. So they want to make sure you're on the best loan from the start, because you'll stay with that lender and they'll keep getting their commission from the lender going forward. And likewise, if you do want to reassess, you go back to that broker, they'll look at your options and make a decision on whether that's still the best option for you or whether you should look elsewhere, and they can hold your hand through that process too. So hopefully that made sense for everybody, and hopefully it's a lot clearer for you if you are not sure about what the whole world of mortgage broking means. If you found that interesting, click on the like button. If you haven't found it interesting, then still click on the like button, because I really appreciate it. And if you know someone's, you know, weighing up their options about buying a house and they're not sure about the whole finance thing, click on the share button. Hopefully they'll find it useful. I've noticed that Alistair's responded back here. He said that, hi Darren, that comes down to lack of trust between client and broker, but he said it's a good topic. So yes, at the end of the day, it comes down to any relationship with any professional that has experience and knowledge that you want to gain from. You're just going to have to trust them. You're never going to have the same amount of knowledge and experience as them. You know, they've done hundreds, if not thousands of transactions, and you're relying on the fact you've just Googled, you know, find a cheap rate, and then that's your level of experience and knowledge. You're never going to have the experience and knowledge that they're going to have, so you're always going to have to trust someone at some point in time. Hopefully this made sense, everyone. Hopefully it's a lot clearer for you, and I wish you well. And if you've got any questions that you'd like me to talk about in the future episode, then click on that. If you've had experience dealing with mortgage brokers in the past, good ones or bad things, I'd be happy to hear about it. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.